You're watching ABC 7 News at 7.
If a .38 caliber pistol, which is a horrible weapon in itself if it happens to enter the human body, can stop somebody cold, why do we have to move up?
Following a wave of mass shootings across the nation, Suncoast military veterans call on a ban on assault weapons. Veterans on both sides debate at the trapezoid. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on area veterans and assault weapons in a few minutes, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. Isn't it a little early for this? A tropical disturbance heading our way and threatening to wash our Memorial Day weekend plans. Right now, you are looking at our live tower cam and weather radar. While things may look calm now, chances are they won't stay that way. Let's head straight over to ABC 7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. An interesting dynamic being played out right now with this tropical disturbance, if you will, in the Western Caribbean. It has a 60% chance of developing into a subtropical or tropical low pressure depression, possibly, or a tropical storm over the next 5 days. Now that possibly could change as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it's elongated. It's being sheared apart. There's a little low spinning right here at the surface just off the Yucatan Peninsula, which it's so close to land, it's not allowing it to develop or strengthen anything significant at this point. But there's plenty of tropical moisture. And notice, here's where the low is, and here's where a lot of the moisture is, well east, hundreds of miles to the east of the center. As this moves northward, as the European model is suggesting, eventually off toward Louisiana, we're still going to tap into this, and we're still going to get some showers and storms around. The GFS, which is the American model, takes it off more toward southwest Florida as a weak tropical low. Again, that chance at 60%. It doesn't appear that the whole weekend's going to be washed out, but we will see right now as it stands some very heavy rainfall on Saturday night, and possibly lingering into Sunday morning early. And then the system should be far enough north of us that we will see a little bit better weather on Sunday afternoon and into Monday, Memorial Day. Again, there's the majority of at least half of the model suggesting more of a west coast position on into Saturday, while others, in the European particular, going off toward the Louisiana coast, and possibly the Canadian model here showing it into the panhandle of Florida. So there's still a lot of uncertainty simply because the low pressure system hasn't really fully defined yet. It hasn't really fully developed at this point. One thing we do know, though, we are going to get some rainfall out of the system, and I mentioned that GFS. We'll take you through time here, and then we'll send it back to you, Alan. You can see this is Saturday at 9 a.m. showing showers and storms around, and then by Saturday afternoon, the center close to us and bringing us some moderate to heavy rainfall. But then by Saturday night, possibly winding down a little bit. Back to you.
Bob, if there's anything we have learned by the recent wave of mass school shootings, it is better to be safe than sorry. At Bayshore High School today, additional security measures after a student brought a gun to school the day before. Students told staff at the school that a 10th grader was armed with a gun. School resource deputies found the student with a loaded handgun tucked in his waistband. The teen now facing charges of possession of a firearm on school grounds. Now, because of that incident, Bayshore High School students walked through a metal detector this morning. In addition to the Manatee County School District says will put a lot of minds at ease.
We're ramping up security measures, and we take those kind of increased precautions if events warrant it.
It makes me feel a lot more safer now that I know that people aren't carrying guns in their pockets or bags anymore.
Bayshore High School students were also not allowed to bring backpacks to school today, an added security measure for all middle and high schools in Manatee County starting tomorrow throughout the end of the school year. An update now on the Sarasota School's push to tighten security. The district moving forward with creating its own police force. Sheriff Tom Knight is also hiring 14 school resource deputies. According to the sheriff's office, it is in the best interest of the community to continue recruiting deputies in case the school district changes its mind or in case local charter schools need them. The district is confident the new department will be up and running before the start of the new school year in August. So get this, the federal government has given Florida $19 million to prevent the Russians from messing with our elections again. And our state's Secretary of State says he can't figure out how to get it to local supervisors of elections until after the November election. Florida Governor and U.S. Senate candidate Rick Scott is now ordering state officials to speed it up. The money will be used to protect state election systems from cyber attacks. Finding parking at St. Armand's Circle will soon be a lot easier. The city officially breaking ground today on a new parking garage. When complete, the area behind the Columbia restaurant will have 4 levels, over 500 spaces, and 2 restrooms. The project will be completed by December. Parking will be 50 cents an hour. If you plan on traveling this Memorial Day weekend, plan ahead. Experts are predicting 2.2 million people will be flying and hitting the roadways. That's more than predicted at this time last year. The most popular Memorial Day travel destination for 2018 is Orlando. And you'll pay more to get there. The price of gas is going up. The national average regular grade gasoline is now at $3 a gallon. That's some of the highest gas prices for the holiday in nearly 4 years. In Sarasota, we haven't reached an average of $3 just yet. According to Gas Buddy's app, the average price of regular gas per gallon in Sarasota is $2.89, and the lowest price of gas per gallon is $2.70. An update now on the proposed utility rate increase in Venice. The city is giving its preliminary approval for an increase in a variety of utilities. People living in the city can expect a 10% increase in their utility rates starting at the end of the year, but it will be phased in. Rates increases impact potable drinking water, reclaimed water, and sewer service. A second hearing takes place in 2 weeks. And still to come, a Sarasota veterans group says get rid of assault weapons. Both sides debate. Next.
I'll be right back.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play. I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android.
This is awesome.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Download the all-new ABC 7 First Alert Weather app now.
Just last week, we dealt with yet another mass shooting at a high school in Texas. There are so many voices speaking out for and against banning assault weapons, including Sarasota veterans who want them banned. ABC 7's Taylor Torrengano is here with more. Taylor.
Good evening, Alan. It's safe to say no one wants another innocent life lost, but how we stop these mass shootings from continuing to happen is a question that has many differing answers. Much like the country, the veterans I spoke with are very divided in their opinions on assault weapons.
I've seen thousands of them. I have no interest in them whatsoever, but I can tell you what they do.
Jeffrey Morris knows because he earned a Silver Star trying to save the men who had been shot by one.
It destroys whatever it touches, the bullet.
1970, a medic in Vietnam, he quickly learned the capability of an assault weapon.
We'd fly out and pick up people who were hurt. We were medical evacuation or dust off. The military term was just dust off. We were the first responders to a firefight or an injury.
Dropping down in the middle of combat to save wounded soldiers, many who had been hit by an AR-15.
I can tell you from 10,322 different experiences I've had, it always destroys the human body. And people who have these emotional discussions about gun rights or not, I don't care. I have no interest in talking about it. I walk away from the discussion. I'd say be there for one day in an emergency room where they bring in an AR-15 victim and you'll have an entirely different viewpoint on it.
The other members of the self-proclaimed Florida Veterans for Common Sense group have similar views. They say once you see what these weapons can do, there's no way to support them being in the hands of civilians. But they do acknowledge other vets may disagree.
It's kind of like they're wrapping themselves in the flag and they're wrapping assault weapons in that flag. That to say you don't need them is kind of like un-American, or you're kind of like taking something away from them. And of course, in my opinion, you're not at all.
The chairman of the Manatee County Veterans Council says his support for all weapons is more about the oath he took to defend the Constitution.
And everything that it means. And so with that said, I do believe that weapons, being able to own these weapons and things like that, a weapon is a weapon until a person operates it.
A mindset that guns don't kill, people do. Though Hunsinger says he is against the illegal modifications that make an assault rifle automatic.
Do you need those type of weapons? Probably not. Does it mean that you can't have one? Well, of course you should be able to have one, but not an automatic weapon, a weapon that just continues to fire rounds with one hold of the trigger. So it is debatable, and there are situations where I don't think you would need one. But to keep an American citizen under the Second Amendment from having one certainly should not be done.
It appears the Florida Senate agrees, recently rejecting a ban on assault weapons that, if approved, would have been included in the Public Safety Act signed by Governor Scott in March. In a new push for gun control, the act did include a ban on the sale or use of bump stocks and raised the minimum age to buy a rifle or shotgun from 18 to 21. But some say these additional regulations still aren't the solution.
Weapons are on the streets every day that are illegal as can be, and they're easily obtained with money. So are we really solving a problem with this? Probably not, and more things need to be looked at. Some more research needs to be done on this.
What more do we need? Another slaughter on some innocent? I can't imagine.
There is one thing both sides seem to agree on. Something should be done.
Never again! Never again!
Still up for debate whether that's more education, stricter regulations, or a ban altogether. To read more about the current gun regulations included in the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act just signed into law, I put a link on our website. Just visit mysuncoast.com.
Taylor, thank you. Coming up, veterans on both sides share one trapezoid.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch ABC 7 wherever you are, on our live stream, on mysuncoast.com, on the ABC 7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, dining with recipes, and My Suncoast Restaurant Guide. Visit mysuncoast.com. Click on the Apps tab to download the ABC 7 My Suncoast app for Apple and Android.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. Remember those hot babes and bods from Baywatch? Well, we have our own version right here on the Suncoast. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. The award-winning Manatee County Marine Rescue is here to teach us some water safety. Renowned fashion designer Sigrid Olsen is back to talk about her new memoir. Plus, a new college student tackles tough race topics in a documentary, and the Siesta Key Summer House is in the kitchen. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Welcome back. A lot of folks have a position on whether assault weapons should be banned. Few of us know more about those weapons than those who are actually in combat or veterans, which is why an opinion piece in the Herald Tribune written by the Sarasota-based Florida Veterans for Common Sense caught our attention. We are combat veterans who served in Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq. We have experience with these types of weapons. We know the consequences of using them, they write. The reality is that good people and innocent children have been needlessly slaughtered by unbalanced individuals armed with military-style weapons. And another reality is the majority of Americans want these weapons banned, but those in Congress and state legislatures who have the ability to ban them are not listening, they write. Joining us tonight are two members of the Florida Veterans for Common Sense, Dave Siegwald and Jeff Morris, State Senator Greg Steube, who is an Iraq War veteran, and the gun lawyer in Sarasota, Jeff Young. I welcome you all, and I know this is a difficult issue. And Dave, let me start with you, because we just had another mass shooting at a high school, this time in Texas. And what stands out here is that an assault weapon was not used. It was the kid's dad's shotgun and a handgun. And a lot of people, I would imagine, would be saying, you know, it doesn't take an assault weapon to do this kind of damage.
Well, certainly you can do damage with any kind of weapon, Alan. There's no doubt about that. The only thing I would answer is, as an example, if the man in Las Vegas up in the tower up there was using a handgun or a hunting rifle, you wouldn't have 57 people dead, you might have 8 or 10 people dead. So there's no doubt you can do damage with any kind of weapon. But the fact is, with an assault weapon, which is a military weapon, which was designed for one thing, and that's to kill people. And it's as simple as that.
Jeff, and you spoke in the first hand in terms of what your experience was in Vietnam, in terms of seeing the impact of these weapons on the human body. You know, you're sitting next to a state senator who also saw combat in Iraq and also saw in many situations the same thing that you did, but you have two different views in terms of whether or not these weapons should be available to the public.
Well, may I just say it this way, we can agree to disagree. My experience as a medic in Vietnam was a first-person experience on a daily basis where I saw time after time after time, many times a day, where bodies were mutilated by what was then the AR-15, what was called an AK-47 or an M16. That was the military version of the AR-15. And the results are catastrophic. If it enters the body with a little pinpoint and goes out the size of an orange, and it eviscerates the human body. And these discussions we have, which I think of them as academic discussions, which normally go nowhere, but I would venture to say that if a person who I was speaking with had the unfortunate experience of having their child or their husband or their wife being a victim of this, I don't think there'd be this discussion.
You know, Senator, you were there in Iraq. You saw this kind of damage to the human body. You are in the state legislature. You aspire to be in Congress, and you're listening to what your fellow veterans are saying, and your response is?
Well, my first is more of a question in how do they as an organization define an assault weapon, because what has just been talked about and what I used what I was issued when I deployed was a weapon that was fully automatic, had a 3-round selector switch, 3-round burst. What was used in Vietnam was fully automatic weapons, and those aren't available to the general public in the United States. So I guess the first premise is, are we defining assault weapons as anything that carries a magazine? In the legislature this past year, when we had this debate about Parkland, one of the amendments that was put on was deemed an assault weapon ban. So there was an amendment put on the floor. It actually got put on by an oral vote, and then we did a roll call vote, and it got repealed. But the way it was defined in that amendment was basically any firearm that would take any level of magazine 5 rounds or more. So basically any type of weapon. So I guess that's the first question, is what's used in combat and what's available to the general public in the United States are very different in the way that they fire.
You know, Jeff, I was going to ask you a question, but we're up against a break, so we'll start with you in the next segment. We are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on vets and assault weapons right after we check the First Alert weather, so stay with us.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, fishing, or biking and hiking. Or play the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy the flavors of the Black Belt. Book your adventure at our lodges or stay in the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Our conversation on military vets against assault weapons continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, the official National Hurricane Center has just updated their chances now to 70% of this becoming a subtropical or tropical depression or possibly even tropical storm over the upcoming 5 days now. So it's been increasing steadily over the past 36 hours, and it looks like chances are getting a little bit better even in the next 2 days at 10%. But this system down to our south now, elongated at best, with heavy storms still concentrated around what appears to be a low pressure area developing just off the Yucatan Peninsula. Upper level winds are still pretty strong, so it's not going to develop rapidly on Thursday or even into Friday. But Saturday, a different story. Late Friday night and into Saturday, it's going to emerge into the Gulf of Mexico. We do know that. As far as the future movement, though, the area is still rather large. It could move off toward Florida, or it could move toward Louisiana. The European has it more toward Louisiana, while the American model takes it more toward Florida. So we like the European a little bit better than the GFS, which is the United States model. This is the visible satellite imagery showing still there's a hostile environment down there with the upper level winds being pretty strong, up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. You need real light winds in the upper levels for a system to get going. If it were to develop into a tropical storm, it would be a low scale tropical storm, and it looks as though that chance is small, but a tropical depression not out of the question. And what those typically do, they don't bring a lot of strong winds, but they do bring a lot of heavy rainfall, especially if you're east of the center in a poorly organized system like this one is. We're going to get a majority of the moisture right here along Florida, and we could see quite a bit of rainfall. Right now we're seeing the sea breeze front pretty active this afternoon, not in terms of a widespread rain event, but we had some pretty heavy rainfall along I-75 right where the convergence set up from Manatee County southward down into Englewood and now Northport, getting some light rainfall. But I'm not anticipating anything too significant through the next couple of hours, as the daytime heating will be used up with the previous storms, but still some lingering showers near Northport at this hour. Not a lot else across the Suncoast. And as far as the water vapor is concerned, we had a little slot of dry air slip in right over the top of us today, and it's still around, so we're not expecting a big deal of rainfall tonight. But then this is the mass that we'll watch. It makes its way to the north. That's all going to be kind of rotated in our area. The system also has to battle this dry air, but that's kind of thinning out, and we'll have a chance to thin out over the next 48 hours. Well, the GOES-IR satellite imagery continues to show dry weather, keeping skies clear in the western Gulf of Mexico, but that heavy storm continues near Cuba. The area of low pressure is going to move to the north. We do know that, and get into the Gulf, where water temperatures now in the low to mid 80s. It's not the high heat energy that you get during August and September, which creates massive hurricanes or strong storms, but nonetheless, it's warm enough. It's just warm enough that we could see something pop up. This is the rainfall from tomorrow afternoon through Sunday, and this is an estimate by a computer forecast model showing that most areas will probably end up getting about 3 inches of rain, with some isolated areas getting up to 4 to possibly 6 inches of rain. That's what it looks like right now as we take you through Sunday morning. The heaviest rain will be, I think, on Saturday and Saturday night as the system nears by. As far as the boating goes for the remainder of the evening, winds will be switching around to the southeast here. Right now it's a light chop on the bays and inland waters. The forecast for 7 days then: 50% chance for mainly afternoon and evening storms on Thursday, transitional day on Friday. We'll start to see an increase in cloud with a good chance for showers and storms. 80% on Saturday and Saturday night, and then Sunday things could improve if the system moves further north and further west than what we're projecting right now. Alan will be back with his guests right after this.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach. Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Thank you.
What are you doing? You are the best protection she has. Buddy up. I'm Jill Harrington. Please visit HelpSaveTheNextGirl.com and get involved.
Welcome back. A Sarasota Bay's veterans group calls for banning assault weapons, and joining us for more are State Senator Greg Steube, the gun lawyer Jeff Young, and two members of the Florida Veterans for Common Sense, Dave Sigwald and Jeff Morris. And Jeff, let me start with you, because I'm going to read you a portion of the op-ed piece that these folks put into the Herald Tribune. We understand that some argue that banning assault weapons is not constitutional because of the Second Amendment. That is a hollow argument that has already been settled by the federal courts. Weapons can be regulated. We are certainly not advocating taking away handguns, shotguns, or rifles. The simple fact is the military and the police have a need for assault weapons. The public does not. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction is, last time I read this Second Amendment, it doesn't mention the word need. It's not a bill of needs, it's a bill of rights. I do acknowledge that Supreme Courts in the past have said you can regulate assault weapons and ban them. I disagree with that. Just because they ruled that way doesn't mean I have to follow it. But it's not a matter of need. I don't have to demonstrate a need to exercise a right. People can argue that we don't need pornography on the internet, but yet it's still protected by the First Amendment, or we don't need to protect us from surveillance by law enforcement with bugs, but we still have the Fourth Amendment that says you can do that. So when people make this, you see this argument on Facebook and stuff all the time where they say, well, nobody needs an AR-15 because you can't hunt with it or you can't protect with it. First off, I disagree with that. You can do all those things, but last time I checked, it's not a bill of needs, it's a bill of rights. You don't have to demonstrate need in order to exercise a right, so I think that's a hollow argument.
Gentlemen, your response?
Well, I guess I would say, you know, if I feel like I want a hand grenade or a flamethrower, why not get one of those, you know? There's no, maybe I don't, maybe I want that. And I think that the government has to regulate the use of weapons that can cause great damage to our society.
You know, Senator, after a long period, the state finally this past session passed its first gun control regulation in many years. It raised the minimum age that a person could buy a long gun, and it did some other things. I know you voted against it, but you know, even conservative members of the Florida legislature and the conservative governor signed it into law.
Yeah, there were several pieces in there that I disagreed with. I disagreed with raising the age. I think that if we as a society are going to say you're an adult and you're 18 years old and you're old enough to be mature enough to raise your right hand and swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States, defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and serve our country in the military, you should have the ability to purchase a firearm. And what we've created is a scenario where, let's say you have a daughter who just graduated high school, she goes to the University of Florida, she lives by herself, she's 19 years old and she lives by herself in an apartment. She's an adult, she's old enough to sign a contract to buy a house, but she's not old enough to go down to the street to a firearms dealer and purchase a shotgun to keep in her home to protect herself.
But let me get your reaction to another line that was in this op-ed piece, if we have it on the screen. Other morally sound free nations have eliminated these types of weapons from civilian life and the mass killings have stopped. We can do the same if we choose.
I don't agree that banning assault rifles or assault weapons, however they're defining it, because we haven't got the answer on that yet, will stop any of the mass shootings. The mass shooting that just occurred in Texas, he used a .38 revolver and a shotgun. And I can show you pictures of shotguns now that they make that look a lot like an AK because it takes a magazine. So in their letter that I read, it says they don't want to limit handguns, they don't want to limit shotguns, but there's shotguns now that you have that can take a magazine. They don't want to limit rifles, is what their op-ed said, yet there's rifles, hunting rifles, that can take a 20-round magazine.
So Jeff, let me ask you about, you know, Greg's point here is that how you define assault weapon is something that is open to interpretation, so therefore how do you even go about the process of doing so?
May I say, I am not an expert on guns. I have a number of friends I polled who are gun owners who own AR-15s. They consider an AR-15 an assault weapon one of my friends who is a deputy sheriff has an AR-15. He said you don't even need to buy anything to modify that into making it an automatic. One simply has to put their finger inside the trigger guard and pull it back and forth very quickly, and it functions as an automatic weapon. I don't know where there's a discussion, I didn't know there was one, that an AR-15 wasn't an assault weapon. It's in the vernacular, we talk about it, it's been open for discussion. I'm not here to split hairs. It's a war weapon. It's an M16 that's used in civilian life.
It's those weapons that you used and people used in war and combat is not the same weapons available to the general public. The weapons you use in combat are fully automatic, 3-round bursts. Those are not available to the general public in the United States. You can fire an AR-15 style weapon just as quick as I can fire my semi-automatic handgun. As quick as you pull the trigger is as quick as a round comes out.
But those weapons do come with the option of having very large capacity magazines.
You could put a large round capacity magazine in a handgun.
Well, people are talking about dealing with the large capacity magazines itself. The one thing that we do see when the public is polled on assault weapons or assault style weapons is that the public, whether it's here in Florida or around the country, seems to want to ban them by a large margin, Jeff.
Well, I would disagree with that. I mean, polls can show whatever you want them to show. We learned that in the last election. No, I just disagree with you. I don't think that that's true. The people that I speak to in my community will tell you that that is not correct, that they do not want to ban firearms. But the other good thing is that the Constitution doesn't care what the massive opinion is, because it's there to protect the minority. So if most of the people in the country want to outlaw something, that doesn't mean that they get to outlaw it. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. And I would agree with what Greg has repeatedly said. Assault weapon, there's no such term as an assault weapon. It's made up. An assault is an action. As a criminal defense attorney, I can tell you when you read the intent statutes, assault is an action, it's not an item. You can't have an assault weapon, it's a made-up term, just like military style is made up or common sense gun control is made up. They use these big, broad, amalgamous, blobbish terms that they can stick in there whatever they want and take it from what they would consider today to be an M16 style weapon and branch it out into standard hunting rifles, shotguns, large capacity magazines. The issue is not assault rifles, the issue is the Constitution and firearm rights in general.
May I respond to this?
Sure.
Simply stated, Broward County has 2 level 1 trauma centers and 1 level 2 trauma center. If you recall, if being well versed in the news, just reading the newspaper, the doctors were coming out of there apoplectic, talking about the damage these bullets were doing to the human body. They never have that, you don't have that discussion on the 22, a 38, or a 45. The children who were hit by these AR-15s, their organs were eviscerated. There's no discussion about that. I don't want to, whatever one chooses to call it, it's a weapon of mass destruction, and it is a weapon that was used in the military, and it's been, whatever one wishes to call it, it's now being used in the civilian society, but it's a war weapon.
But the issue you're talking about is the bullet that comes out of the gun that causes the damage. You can put that bullet in a single action bolt action rifle and cause the exact same damage that you can out of an AR-15. So your issue isn't with the AR-15, your issue is with the caliber.
Yeah, you
if the caliber, then you want to ban the calibers, not just the firearm. So now you're expanding what you're talking about wanting to ban.
You can put that bullet in another weapon and shoot it single shot.
Correct.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to kill 50 people with a single shot.
I don't know, the guy went up to the tower in Texas and killed just as many people, if not more, than they did in Parkland from sniping from a tower.
Well, that's true.
And that was a single action bolt action rifle.
That's true.
That's not true.
In 1964, you're going back to 1963 or 64, that guy was well versed in ammunition. He was in a tower where he was completely locked away and they couldn't get to him.
Or a military assault
Nobody
rifle.
he had 5 hours. He had 5 hours up there.
We only have a couple seconds here, but Mike, this debate is not dissimilar to the debates that we've had on this show about this issue before. What does your group hope to accomplish by writing this op-ed piece and getting your position out there?
Well, what we hope to accomplish is to talk to people and get them to convince their politicians of our point of view that this country does not need this type of weapon, and to elect those people to office. And then after that, make laws to ultimately ban assault weapons, however you want to define an assault weapon. That's what the ultimate goal is, to raise an awareness. We are now, we watch these kids and they're leading the adults. I think it's time for the adults to act like adults.
Okay, we have to take a quick break and we'll be back for our final thoughts in a moment. Stay with us.
what to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
About every 3 minutes in America, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer. Light the Night brings together survivors and supporters to bring light to the darkness of cancer and to help fund life-saving research. Our goal is a world without blood cancers, and we're lighting the path to cures. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. Help defeat the darkness of cancer. Join Light the Night today.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Tanya, come here.
Learning the right steps. 2, 3, 4. Or making contact. It's not just about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen who enters our doors has what it takes. Great futures start here.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC 7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Greg, I'm going to start with you because in the commercial break, we got a really good viewer question that I want to put it to you. There's been a lot of talk, especially after the Texas shooting, that this young man apparently got that shotgun and the other weapon from his father's cabinet. It was unsecured. Obviously, there was a failure of responsibility here. Do you think a parent in that circumstance should face criminal charges for not securing their weapons?
In the state of Florida, we have a law, and I've actually brought it with me so I can give you the site after we talk today, that makes that it's a second-degree misdemeanor. If you negligently allow a minor to obtain a firearm in your possession and they use it in the commission of a crime, it is a crime in the state of Florida. I would be surprised if it's not a crime in the state of Texas. But in my opinion, banning any type of weapon is not going to stop any of these tragedies. We raised the limit to 21 to purchase a firearm. The shooter in Texas was 17. He didn't even use an AR-style weapon in the commission of his crime. You're not going to prevent evil by restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens the ability to defend themselves.
Jeff?
The status quo isn't working. Australia banned assault weapons, and they had a buyback program. And there has not been an example, a situation in Australia where there's been a mass shooting since they bought back the assault weapons.
So, Jeff, I mean, obviously, you know, the status quo isn't working. We seem to be having these mass shootings at an increasing pace, and we have the same discussions afterwards all the time, and then we're right back where we started.
Sure, but yet gun ownership has actually decreased in the past. There are just as many guns now as there were 50 years ago, but we're seeing more mass shootings. So to tie one to the other is ludicrous. It makes absolutely no sense. There's obviously something else going on in our society. And as far as a summation goes, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, military style versus civilians don't need these firearms. Well, when the founders wrote the Constitution in 1776, the civilians were the military. They had the exact same type of firearms that the military did. So to make the argument that we should have different firearms than what our government has goes completely against the concept of the Second Amendment, which was to allow citizens to have firearms to protect themselves from a tyrannical government. So taking our firearms away doesn't fix anything.
And Dave, you get the last word.
Well, I still say that's a hollow argument. I'll stay with that. But I think our house is burning down, and I don't think we're going to stop it by pouring more gasoline on it, Alan. Okay. If we could stop a few deaths by banning assault weapons, I'd say it would be worth it.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much, and we'll be back right after this. Thank you.
With the Brinks prepaid MasterCard, it's easy to manage our money. I get a text alert every time our card is used, so we always know our balance.
And we're protected from unauthorized transactions. Brinks gives us peace of mind.
Introducing the Brinks prepaid MasterCard. With direct deposit, you can get your paycheck or government payments up to 2 days faster.
Brinks knows what's valuable to me, time.
Load money onto your card and then shop online, pay bills. With Brinks, you can conveniently manage your money online and with the mobile app. Call now or go online to get your Brinks prepaid MasterCard. And in this TV-only offer, personalize your Brinks prepaid MasterCard with your photo for added security. Brinks knows what's valuable to you. Call right now to order your Brinks prepaid MasterCard.
Call 1-800-287-3014.
Or go online. Call now.
Looking for something fun to do on a Friday night? Then come to Music on Main, the first Friday of every month at Lakewood Ranch. Enjoy free live music, dancing, great food, and lots of fun for every family member, even the furry ones. Meet up with friends, enjoy activities for the kids, or make it a special date night. And be sure to stop by the ABC7 booth and say hello. Mark your calendars for Music on Main, first Friday of the month, 6 to 9 at Lakewood Ranch. Brought to you by ABC7 and these sponsors.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. Work with an accredited Veteran Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get the final check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Not the best news coming out of the National Hurricane Center. Within the last 15 minutes, we have a 70% chance now of this developing into a subtropical or tropical depression. Now, there's a very small chance it could get tropical storm status, but that's unlikely right now because it's not going to have a lot of time to develop once it gets into the Gulf. And water temperatures are somewhat warmer in the central Gulf than they are along the eastern portion of the Gulf, so that chance is not all that great for a tropical storm, but a tropical depression out of the question. But with either way, we're going to see some heavy rainfall here, and it looks like mainly on Saturday. You'll notice too that it's shifted a little bit to the right as far as where that may develop and may form. It had been more toward Louisiana earlier. It's still there. There's still a chance it could go more toward that direction, but GFS has been rather consistent and persistent in taking it right on in to west central Florida on Saturday and Saturday night. So we'll have to watch it closely, obviously. The low pressure center is so close to land right now that it'll have a difficult time of developing over the next 2 days. That's the reason why it's only at a 10% chance through Friday. But then once we get past Friday, that chance increases significantly to a likely chance of a low pressure area developing. Well, the Titan radar picture showing limited shower activity today, although it was heavy at times. Most of that is winding down now due to the fact we had a little dry air slip in throughout the overnight hours last night and throughout this morning. Still, though, and not enough to keep the rain totally out of here. And we're going to see a little bit better chance for showers and storms scattered about tomorrow afternoon, and then really on into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the rain that had been around Northport is for the most part gone. Showers starting to pop up in some outflow boundaries near Wauchula, also again near Bowling Green. I mentioned that dry air slot right there, a little piece of it moving right across the state, but the deep tropical moisture exists all the way from, say, Fort Myers southward down well into the western Caribbean, and all that will move its way northward as that low pressure center drifts to the north. It's going to be a slow mover for the most part on Thursday and Friday. It may pick up a little bit of forward speed on Saturday and Sunday. I don't think it's going to stick around the entire weekend of the holiday weekend, but we will see a real good threat of some washout conditions on Saturday and into early Sunday morning. Well, the satellite imagery again showing the system. This is the forecast again showing more this eastern portion of the Gulf of Mexico motion, and the European won't be in again until 3 a.m. so we'll wait and see on that, but that may be shifting a little bit further off to the right as well in time. I mentioned the water temperatures. They're extremely warm here in the Pacific, up to 90 degrees there, but for us in the low to mid 80s. 79 degrees right now. We're getting some light rain at the airport, and the relative humidity at 77%, the dew point 71, and the pressure 30.06. Well, the color-enhanced satellite imagery really showing an explosion of storms today, and still getting some action, not nearly as much as we saw at around 11 o'clock this morning. We're also noticing big storms near Belize and also over the Yucatan Peninsula. All this associated with that little low pressure, which is right about here, void of any significant clouds and storms to the south of it, indicating that it's not that well organized. We'll take you through Saturday evening at 6 p.m. The GFS shows it right over us, and it would be a tropical depression at this point, and then moving off to the north, and then eventually kind of working its way back toward the west. A very wet southeast United States expected too on into Sunday, but for us, our Sunday could be much improved. So we'll have to get through this heavy rainfall, I think, on Saturday and into early Sunday morning, and then things look to be a little bit better, although look at this trail of moisture back here, and if this tracks west, this has a tendency to move back this way too, but our chances will go down as opposed to having the center right over the top of us on Sunday and Monday. So the forecast for boaters for tomorrow looks pretty much the same as we saw today, with afternoon showers and storms around. The rain chance at 50% for scattered storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Maybe a little bit more coverage too due to the increase in higher moisture content. 70% chance watching the tropics. I think that's when we'll start to see the potential for development into Friday evening. Saturday we'll start off maybe a little quieter, then we'll get the showers and storms picking up in intensity on into Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. Sunday and Monday, the chances may come down a little bit, but it bears watching. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. State Senator Greg Steube, the gun lawyer Jeff Young, and two members of the Florida Veterans for Common Sense, Dave Sigwald and Jeff Morris. When we return, we'll have primetime headlines. President Trump continues to fuel the conspiracy theory an informant was embedded in his presidential campaign when Trump has labeled the investigation. Stay with us.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach. Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free. You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Checking primetime headlines, what is Spygate? ABC's Tara Palmieri tells us about the conspiracy theory President Trump is putting out there on Twitter.
President Trump pushing a major conspiracy theory without providing any evidence that the Department of Justice is out to get him.
A lot of people are saying they had spies in my campaign.
even branding it Spygate. Tweeting, Spygate could be one of the biggest political scandals in history. The president has been fixated on claims that the FBI spied on his campaign since the New York Times reported last week that the FBI sent a confidential informant to gather more information about Trump campaign advisors about their contacts with Russians ahead of the election. The FBI will not confirm or deny if it used the suspected informant.
They were spying on a term I don't particularly like, but on what the Russians were doing.
But the president's fury prompted a demand to have the Department of Justice investigate the matter. The Inspector General's office has expanded an ongoing investigation to include whether the Bureau was improperly targeting the Trump campaign. The DOJ is set to turn over some classified documents to GOP congressional leaders tomorrow.
If they had spies in my campaign, that would be a disgrace to this country.
But before any evidence comes to light, the president tweeting out unsubstantiated claims as facts. Like this tweet, the spy was there early in the campaign and yet never reported collusion with Russia because there was no collusion. He was only there to spy for political reasons and to help crooked Hillary win. Even referring to the Justice Department as, quote, the criminal deep state. Former FBI Director James Comey is firing back, saying the FBI's use of informants is very tightly regulated and essential for protecting the country. He tweeted, quote, facts matter, adding, quote, attacks on the FBI and lying about its work will do lasting damage to our country. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, the White House.
One of President Trump's campaign aides is about to be sentenced. George Papadopoulos pleaded guilty last year to lying to the FBI. On Wednesday, Mueller's office asked a federal judge in Washington to prepare for sentencing. Papadopoulos lied about contacts with 3 people in connection to setting up a meeting between then-candidate Trump and Russian officials. He faces up to 5 years in prison. And finally, a Sarasota couple making an unexpected discovery. A 300-pound alligator was taking a dip in their pool early this morning. Connie and Frank Shaffrey say that they were enjoying a cup of coffee at their home off University Parkway and Honore Avenue when they spotted the 9-foot-long gator. The Shaffreys immediately called the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and FWC employee was able to remove the gator in about 20 minutes. That employee estimates the gator is 15 to 20 years old. Just needs a dip. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.